Hello, my loves. Welcome back to the Wild Feminine Way motherfucking podcast. I'm so excited because it's been a long time. It's been a couple of months, and so much has transpired and shifted and changed and quantum leaped for me since my last episode. Like, I can just feel the change. I didn't mention today we're going to be talking about utilizing dark goddess energy to reclaim your full power. And I've been posting more on Instagram lately. That's why I haven't done a podcast in a while. And I just did a free ceremony last week. I'll talk about that in a little bit. So make sure you're hanging out with me on Instagram if you're not over there. But I do have like kind of a new flow in mind for how to do both Instagram and my podcast episodes and not be all over the place, because I've been working on simplifying my life, especially as I've been having huge quantum leaps and big changes. Let me know below how you're doing. But without further ado, let's dive into the episode about using our dark goddess energy to reclaim our full power. So I do have notes next to me, and we're going to talk about a few main things today. So grab a water, grab a tea. Let's get in. And I'm spraying us with some, it says rose water, but it's actually patchouli for grounding. And I feel like I want to Palo Santo us as well. There's so many big energy shifts and changes happening right now. So grounding and being in the body is needed now more than ever. It's always needed, but yeah, it's even more helpful now more than ever. So just feeling this beautiful energy of the Palo Santo, clearing your energy field, programming your aura, your mind, your body with that of blessings, of miracles and abundance. Breathing it in. It's not really lighting very well. If you're listening to this on the audio version, I'm trying to get the Palo Santo to light. Whatever, it's not doing it right, so we got the vibes. All right, so for me personally, I actually just taught a class on this in my new Community Goddess Power portal. So we're going to talk a little bit about it today. The full scoop of this is in my community, which I'm going to talk about how you can access that, plus lots of other cool things within there. But when I first learned the term, dark goddess, it actually kind of freaked me out a little bit because I didn't understand what it meant. Because the term has been like demonized. The term dark goddess and the term witch are essentially just a woman who's fully in her fucking power. It's not a bad thing. And by the way, ADD moment, if you're on the video version, you can finally see my haircut that I got like 2 weeks ago. I haven't made a video with my haircut yet, I don't think. Anyways, so dark goddess energy, being aligned with it, it helps you to fully reclaim your power. And once I started learning more about it, I'm like, I realized these are things that I've been doing for fucking years, like a decade or more. And working with these energies, I'm going to tell you more about what they are. I teach different pillars in my class. It's what has changed my fucking life in so many ways. And I'm going to talk more about that throughout this. I'm probably going to post something on Instagram about it as well. And I definitely have lots more, I'll call them like story posts, both for Instagram and here, to talk more about my story and everything that I've been through and why I'm so passionate about the work that I teach, because it's not just some spiritually trendy thing why I like it. It's because it's transformed my fucking life time and time and time and time again. So dark goddess energy, this channeled message came through to post on Instagram to talk about this episode, and it is: your power lies within the shadows and the shame that you bury deep. Your power lies within the shadows and the shame that you bury deep. So I feel, to me personally, dark goddess is called dark because it's the things that society, our families, whoever, has deemed as dark or bad. So I teach, I can't count right now, but it's about 5 or 6 different pillars in my class on the dark goddess. The first one being shadow work, the second one being letting go of control, the third being your authentic self, the fourth, witchy and psychic powers, the fifth, sensuality and your sexual energy, And the 6th I think we're on is claiming your full power. And there's like so many different sub pillars within that pillar. But just think about some of these things I mentioned. Doing shadow work. This is needed now more than ever, as we're still in the 9 year, the year of the snake. We're still shedding. Shadow work is always needed, but we have to do shadow work in order to manifest what it is that we really want, like our highest level. But it's deemed as like unacceptable or bad or weird in society to feel your fucking emotions and to look at the dark things, quote unquote, and to admit these things that we all feel because we're human, that may be dark emotions or dark feelings. But society tells us to just, what's a good saying? Like, don't cry. Like, I don't know. There's so many things I could say about that. And like men, poor men are conditioned to not cry. So that's just one example. Think about your sensual and sexual energy. I remember specifically, this is a message coming through to share, when I was like a teenager, I hadn't even had sex yet. And I've always had a big butt. I used to weigh a lot more than I do now, so my butt was bigger then. And I'm tall, I'm 5'9". So whenever I wear dresses or skirts, they're gonna look shorter on me than they are shorter people with a smaller butt. And I just remember like people thinking I was like a slut, or like my parents saying like, oh, that's bad. Or I remember when I had a corporate job back in the day, I had a corporate job for 4 years after undergrad. Like I would get in trouble all the time because my skirts were too short. And I remember I had a fucking friend that told me that like I looked slutty because I have tattoos and dark hair and wear short dresses. And I'm like, okay. So those are just some examples. But when we can fucking reclaim these things that are buried in the fucking shadows that we have so much shame around, that, my love, is when we step into our most powerful version. So I'm going to talk about authenticity today in this episode, but I do have prior episodes of my Wild Feminine Way podcast on sacred rage and alchemizing shit into gold if you want to learn more about how to work with your emotions, because like I've been saying, shadow work is so needed and so important right now. And we do talk, of course, more deeply into this in the full Dark Goddess class in my new community. Having trouble talking because I'm thinking about drinking this water real quick. Before I share about authenticity, as I was pausing drinking my water, this message came through to share. These pillars within Dark Goddess energy are essentially like your aliveness. If you're cramming down your sexual and sensual energy, if you're cramming down your full authentic self and not speaking your truth, what was the other one I just thought of? I don't know, it doesn't matter. I know what it was. When you only allow yourself to feel the good things, or like I call it toxic positivity, when you cram your negative emotions down, you're literally like, I thought my hair was burning because out the corner of my eye I saw smoke, and luckily it was just my candle. Jesus. Like, you are cutting yourself off from fucking life force energy. And I know this from personal fucking experience. I remember like 3 years ago or something like that, a prior mentor told me, because I was like, I just feel like it's hard for me to like feel things. And she's like, well, if you're cutting yourself off from the negative emotions, and you're cutting yourself off from feeling the highest emotions, bliss, ecstasy, all of those things. And yeah, I'm a Leo, so I always was just positive. And in the manifestation community, this is why I'm so obsessed with the way I teach manifestation, because there's so much more to it than what a lot of people teach. Not saying there's anything wrong with them, but I just know things that I've learned over the years have really helped me so deeply. Now I just forgot what I was going to say. Let me think for a second. I know what it was. I used to be afraid to feel negative emotions because I was like, oh my God, if I feel and think too many negative things, then I'm going to manifest bad things. That is not fucking true. It's just not true. There's so much more I can say about that, but essentially you're manifesting your dominant vibration, energy, and identity. There's so many more things I could say about that. So let's talk about authenticity. So with the Instagram post that I'm going to put up to talk about this episode, I'm going to talk more about my story. So if you want to read more on my story, I will mention it a little bit here. Then go read the Instagram post. But authenticity is essentially a journey home to yourself. And this has been such a process for me because I was bullied back in school. And then after being bullied in school, I had a perpetual pattern of like always feeling not good enough and not accepted by the quote unquote popular people, whether that was in my prior business when I did network marketing, even when I first started my business I'm doing now in 2019. I remember my mentor at the time, I went to this retreat she did in Sedona, and it was like very like cliquey, like it is in high school. And that was just like another way of this fucking pattern playing out. So all of that to say, it has been difficult for me to step into this authenticity because, excuse me, as humans, we want to stay safe. So if we're afraid that being our authentic selves is going to cause us pain or rejection, why would we want to do it? Essentially, it's our bodies, our nervous systems. What's the other word? It's like a survival mechanism. But we can't create fucking miraculous, powerful, amazing things if we stay in those survival mechanisms. So that's why working with your nervous system and making your body feel safe and feeling safe within yourself is so important on this journey. But that's another chat for another day, and we dive deep into this in my Community Goddess Power Portal. But essentially, my loves, we are under a societal spell where we're told to not be too much. You're too much, you're too loud, you're too bold, you're too sexual, you're too sensual, you're too what the fuck ever. I've been told this shit my whole fucking life. And I'm remembering, this candle's making me really nervous, so I'm gonna move it like that. I really wanted y'all to see my Christmas tree. ADD brain. When I was again like a teenager, I remember, this is when the internet was newer, back in the early 2000s. Yeah, that's the right year time frame. I would forward like chain emails. My very first email address was butterflygirl13, I think it was, which is so funny because 13 is goddess energy. So the goddesses have been with me for fucking years, even when I didn't know it. That's really cool. Or it might have been Butterfly Girl 3. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Butterfly Girl, I can't talk. I would forward chain emails to my friends because, you know, at the bottom they'd be like, forward this to 5 people for good luck, whatever. Let me know if you remember that, fellow millennials. And I remember this one chick, which was also one of the chicks I was bullied by, and I was bullied a lot for my physical appearance back then. But she was like, stop sending me so many emails, come get a life, come over if you need something to do. So literally since then, it caused this big block in my throat chakra where I was terrified to just like speak my truth or be myself, because I'm 38 years old right now and I've been doing this healing work on myself for over a decade. And I still will have moments where I'm texting my very best friends in the world, and this even happened to me last week. I had a spicy time, we'll say. I've been dating this new guy and I wanted to voice message my best friend about it. And she's a newer mom, she's busy. And I think I sent her 10 minutes worth of voice messages and I felt bad. So it's still coming up. So that's why it's so important to continue doing this work specifically that I'm talking about. Right now we're talking about authenticity and throat chakra. But journeying home to authenticity is also a journey home to yourself, to trusting yourself. I used to be terrified to trust myself. I used to be terrified to be alone. I didn't trust my intuition. I ran to other people. I ran to my mentors, my healers, my coaches. I wouldn't make a decision on my own. This was even happening like a year ago at this point, and even earlier this year. But I've been doing a lot of deep work on myself the last few months, and especially since eclipse season and all the different astrological things. I always practice what I preach, so I'm up-leveling right here with you. But it's such a process. This is like authenticity, but also intuition. I didn't realize I meshed them together, but I did. So that's what wants to come through. So it's going to come through. But it's all about journeying back home to yourself. And it's such a process. And it takes practice and safety, like I said. So I'm going to wrap this up in a minute before I'm going to tell a little story. But I just wanted to give you like the biggest piece of advice that I could give you when it comes to authenticity. We're going to talk more, I think it's tomorrow. Yeah, what am I calling it? Let me look at the title, I forgot. We're doing a live call called Feminine Magnetism in my Goddess Power Portal. We're going to be talking more about the intuition and trusting yourself and psychic abilities and more of that. Feminine magnetism will be the topic. But in order to embrace your authentic self, my biggest advice is just to practice and take baby steps. Like, you want to push yourself out of your comfort zone so like you're at your edge, but not so much that like your nervous system completely shuts down and you start self-sabotaging because you don't feel safe. And don't feel bad if that's what you do. Like, this happens to all of us all the time. It's a process. That's why working with your nervous system and doing things that make you feel safe are so important. But like, for example, I've shared stories about my financial life this year on social media that have been fucking terrifying. But I didn't just start there. Like, I've been sharing my story online for almost 14 years now, since I started my prior business. So over the years, I've just like kept peeling back the layer and sharing more and sharing more and sharing more. And this is, I feel like for me, it's helpful when I have a mentor, when I have a mentor / healer, when I have community, when I have friends that I can share these things with. That's why I'm so passionate about what I do and what I offer, because I want to create that safe space for you, because we don't have to do this alone. We are in this together. And also work with your throat chakra. Like, that's a very simple, practical step you can take. And solar plexus chakra as well, because that's all about your power center. And the two really work together. I was going to point here, but that's your heart. So wrapping this up here, I just want to give you my story of like why I can talk about this to you with authenticity. So I was very religious and shy and conservative because I grew up in a small town in the South. And then in 2016, I moved to Hawaii for the first time. I quit my corporate job back in 2013 to do just my own business. That's back when I was doing network marketing. And I've been able to work just for myself basically for the last over a decade, having to get part-time jobs occasionally and stuff like that. So I've been able to live in a lot of places, and I've lived in Hawaii more than once. That's why I'm giving you the backstory. So the first time I moved to Hawaii in 2016, everything started to unravel of all that I felt like I was or I knew, because I went through my first big spiritual awakening. Hawaii is a beautiful place to do that. And I feel like I went from being the shy Christian girl from a small town in the Bible Belt in the South, from being who I am now. Like, you see me today, I'm like a witchy, fuck word loving, spiritual ass bitch that's lived all over the world, free spirit, hippie, whatever the fuck you want to call me. So I remember the first time, like, if you go back and look at any of my posts, they're on Instagram and Facebook. I think I started Instagram in 2013, Facebook 2012. Like, you can see the difference in my post. Even over year to year, you can see how much I've just been claiming more of my authenticity. Like, when I first started my prior business, I was a health and fitness coach for the network marketing company Beachbody. And this is not to knock religion. Like, I still like Bible verses, some of them. I still believe in God. I still have certain beliefs I believed when I went to church, but now I just mesh it with all of my other spiritual practices. But I used to post Bible verses all the time. I was very quiet and, what's the word, like meek? Just like very reserved. And now I don't give a flying fuck. But I'm still moving through layers of this myself, because as I'm opening up more about my financial story and my business and all that I've gone through after losing everything, it's still terrifying to me, because there's still a part of my ego that is identifying success with how much money I make or what my business is doing. And there's something else I was going to say with that as well. What was it? It's like the rejection thing, right? Like, oh, well, like, why would someone want, this is just honest truth, like, why would someone want me to be their coach if I've gone through all this shit? Or what are people going to think about me? Or what if I get like canceled on social media because I like went through some crazy loss with finances this year? Which I know none of that makes any fucking sense, but that's what our little egos and our subconscious mind tells us, because we're playing these stories on repeat. But I know that it's important for me to share that story, and this is kind of a bonus tip if you're an entrepreneur or wanting to be an entrepreneur. Everything I share that scares the fucking shit out of me to this day, it's because I want to help people. I let my fucking ego aside. I literally on our I'm saying our, I hosted a free rebirth and alignment ceremony last week, which I will link that below. I'm going to be uploading it here on YouTube and on my podcast probably today. But in there, I was talking about how many of us women are generational cycle breakers. We're ending generational curses. We have been through the financial fucking ringer and lots of loss, because in order to end these cycles for the generations of our ancestors to come, we have to feel and experience these things so that we can say, fuck this shit, this is never fucking happening again, and let it go. And there's so much more to that. But I was so glad that I opened up and talked about all that I've been through, because my client that was on the call with me, she was like, oh my God, I've been through a lot of similar things. I never knew that's why these things were happening. I'm so glad you told me. And I wish someone would have told me this shit a few years ago, like when I first started going through stuff. So that's like through the dark nights, what I mean by stuff. And yeah, I just wish someone would have told me that. So that's why I do what I do. And I just let my ego aside, even if I'm fucking terrified. So that's our episode today. For today, like I said, if you want to dive deeper into this, we have my new Goddess Power Portal community. Like I said, tomorrow is our next call on the magnetic feminine, and it also comes with the full dark goddess class, like I keep mentioning, as well as, I forgot to mention this, my Healing the Witch Room class. If you get the all access pass, you'll see it all on the page. I'll post the link below. Healing the Witch Room is a class I made last year to really help you move past this throat chakra, and I go through all the chakras as well, I think, if I remember right, but to help you move really into your authenticity. Because lots of us women were burnt on the fucking stake, or whatever the word is that I'm looking for, years ago in prior lifetimes. So it can be even more terrifying because we were feeling this stuff in our body of what happened to us before. But it is safe. It is safe. So yeah, to dive deeper, I gave you all those different ways. And I'm looking at my notes. I now have one-on-one rebirth and rise sessions available if you're ready to drop all of the fucking masks and reclaim your full power and authenticity. I would love to work with you. If we feel like it's a good fit, there's a little, never mind, I'll just link that up below. So those are just a few different ways that you can dive deeper. So yeah, that's the episode for today. Let me know how this lands with you. I'd love to hear from you. I think that's all I'm going to say. Thank you so much for listening, my loves. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, send this episode to anybody that you feel it may help. And whatever you're going through, know that it's for a divine reason. Know that we're in this together. And this post actually is coming through really quick to share that I did on Instagram last week. It was a channeled message that I got as a download. This year has been the biggest initiation for you yet. And I said, here's why. And in the reel under the description, I talk about that. So I'm going to link that up below because I feel like someone needs that message today, because this year has been intense. It's been rough. So many of us have gone through massive loss. And these are things more that I also talk about in the Dark Goddess class and my portal, and we talked a little bit about it in the rebirth ceremony. So go check that out. And if you are going through something, know that you're not alone and we're in this together. And yeah, the rebirth and rise free ceremony would be a really good place to start, or any way that you feel guided to, whatever resonates. I love you so much. I will see you in a new episode soon. Bye.